What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Show and Tell After Dark, where we talk about all things art, all things music, and all things Boston. My name is Cricket Smith, and I am one of your hosts tonight. Can you introduce yourself, friend?
I'm Tata. I'm one of the other hosts.
Yes, he is. And tonight, if you cannot see, to the right of me, we have a very special guest. The queen, the one and only of District 7, Miss Tania Anderson. Everybody welcome Miss Anderson. Woo! Ski. Miss Anderson, before we get started, we want to address you properly. What should we, if we see you out in the streets, what should we address you as when we see you?
T Moneybags, Tania. No, I'm kidding. But
T Moneybags.
Tania is fine.
Okay.
Always fine. But I've noticed that it's important for me to introduce myself as Councilor Anderson.
Councilor Anderson. I like that.
So, Councilor Anderson, for those who don't know you or maybe aren't like politically inclined, can you tell us about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So my name is Tania Fernandes Anderson, pronounced Fernandes, not Fernandez, but I'm originally West African. I immigrated as a kid. I was 10 years old, came to United States reunifying with my mom after like 6 years of not being with her.
Oh, wow.
And eventually learned like the way of Roxbury. I moved into Academy Homes immediately. Absolutely adored growing up there, but of course it came with, its natural challenges at the time. Eventually I would be undocumented. My mom was not in the situation to sponsor me, so I lived in this country for about 20 years without any green card.
Oh, wow.
What some people say illegal. And so I would, struggle, save money, send for my brother and sister from Cape Verde Islands, West Africa, and just continue to work here as I learned to from the age of 13 all the way to just about maybe 4 or 5 years ago in public health. Happy to share more about that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Became a citizen 2019.
No, you did not.
Yes.
2019? Oh,
That's
wow.
crazy. That's like 4 years ago.
Yes.
Okay. Tell us more.
Okay, yeah.
And then ran for office 2020. Got inaugurated 2021. Here I am.
Wow. You was waiting on that.
Wow.
You was waiting on
2020.
Hey, okay.
Yes.
Ran for office in like hell year in 2020.
Yeah, it's hilarious because I got sworn in. I swore as a U.S. citizen on my birthday in 2019, and then got inaugurated on my birthday in 2020.
That's clean.
Happy birthday.
Thanks.
That's it. Did you celebrate like
present.
3 things that time? Because that's one heck of a celebration.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. Especially like the first time voting too was quite an experience because I had ran a campaign in 2018 and had no idea what a campaign was. Oh, wow. Right? Like,
wow.
Okay, we were just talking about a campaign.
Okay. You hear about civics because you took a little bit in school, right? But you don't really know what you're doing.
Right.
But if you work hard, then you run a heck of a campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Here I am.
Nice.
I want to ask, but I got to let it process. That was a lot. That's crazy. Did you expect to win the campaign whenever you finally, whenever you got situated in 2020, whenever you ran first? Did you expect to win?
No one's ever asked me, did I expect to win?
Yeah.
Did I know? No, right?
Yeah.
Because God is in control. Did I expect it? Yes.
Okay. It just seemed like you did. It just seemed like you just put energy towards it and was like, I don't care who in the way. Like, I'm out of my business, but y'all got to move.
I was door knocking every time and I would tell this story, and before I used to cry because I would get so emotional. It was cathartic for me. It was healing. But every time I would get to a door, and it'd be like a black woman, and she'd come out, and the first time I heard, and I don't mean to offend anyone, but this sounded like, like this kind of like lingo. I think it's like in the Christian church, and I don't know what it's called, but
Speaking in tongues?
It was like speaking in tongues. Like this woman put her hands on my head, and she was doing this thing that it wasn't real. It wasn't English, and she would pray. She would pray. She was a Baptist, but she was doing this ritual, And I would receive it because I believe that prayer is energy. So I would receive it. I would just put my hands up and, bless it in the way that I know how. And then I would just receive it. And I just got so many people doing that. Like, I wouldn't ask for it. They would just come out and say, let's pray.
Oh, wow. And you would just receive that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So is that why you thought you got so much support? Or is there more factors and more reasons of where your support came from?
I think I got a lot of support because, I'm Black. I'm an immigrant. I'm African. I'm Cape Verdean. There's a pocket of, I'm from the Cape Verde Islands, so my nationality was Cape Verdean. Now I'm a U.S. citizen. I grew up in Academy Homes, right?
What's Academy Homes?
Academy Homes is projects, real projects. One of the most infamous, if not the most infamous, back in the 90s, 80s, 90s. And so, when you say academies, people are like, you're from the A. And everyone, if you understand, you understand.
Okay.
And so, when I say that, automatically people go, look, she's not, she just didn't, come off the boat or whatever, yesterday. She's from the A. Yeah. She'd been here. And so there's that, and then I worked in public health for a long time, so that comes with service too. I ran a campaign for my cousin at the time, Evandro Carvalho.
Evandro?
Yeah.
Is that a male?
Yeah.
Is he an artist?
No, not that Evandro. That's my friend.
What I'm talking about, though?
Yes.
I have a painting from Evandro.
He owes me a James Baldwin.
Better get that to him.
He owes me a James Baldwin.
Okay.
He owes me a James Baldwin.
He's so cool. He's
Shout out
too
to Evandro
good.
Carvalho, spelled with an I. This Evandro spelled with an E.
Oh.
My cousin ran for DA at the time.
What's that?
Okay.
District attorney for Suffolk County.
Okay.
And I had no clue. I had no positions I'm with or not. I just know he's a good person, good family man, and an attorney, was a state rep at the time. And he had to teach me everything. Everything. What's a canvas? What, you know what I mean?
Really?
What's a robocall? What is that? And so I learned that I joined his campaign in May. That's not okay. And I think he only had very short money at the time. And got him third, 55,000 votes.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
So we did that together. So it was pretty amazing. A lot of heart and hard work. Anyway, learn fast. That was my experience with politics at the time.
That was your first foot in the water type, big toe dipping.
My goodness, it was more drown me, but then resuscitate me. It was like that. It was like that. It's real. Anybody who comes into campaign, and we need to get more of us, right? More Black kids in campaigning. It's important. Anybody who works in campaigning, they know it's hard work.
Because you went to O'Brien, right?
I did.
So,
I also went to Snowden.
Did you?
Yes.
3 high schools?
I went to 2 high schools.
Just on purpose?
Well, well, kinda.
Yeah.
So
Kinda. Okay.
I attended Dearborn.
Okay.
And the counselor over there at the time told my parents and my mom that because I was an immigrant and I had only been here 3 years, that maybe I shouldn't go to an exam school. But I had passed to go to Latin Academy.
Oh, okay.
And so they were like, no, she's not ready. And at the time, I don't think, they actually she actually listened and sent me to Snowden. But then I made my own decision after that. I was always working and responsible and saving money to get my brother and sister here, doing the adult thing. So I was just I just went and took the test and changed everything and signed everything. And
yourself?
Oh, yeah.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
I know that's the truth.
And just switched schools.
And so from your high school educational journey to actually politics, what was that transition? Were you never thinking about politics before that campaign, or?
No, I didn't even know what it was.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
No, it's the truth. I didn't know what it was. I knew what it was, government. And you hear politics, you're like, ugh,
right.
Mufasa. No, I'm kidding. So,
for real. Literally.
And it is everything you imagine it to be. And so you shy away from it and you think, because the question is for everybody is there a way that you can be in politics and never, ever, ever compromise your moral compass? Right?
What's your answer to that?
What's that?
What's your answer to that?
My answer is that yes, there is a possibility. However, it's extremely difficult to be impactful in the timely manner that you want to be. So like you could get so much more if you compromise and if you bend and if you lie and cheat. You can get so much more.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I did get a lot. I was assigned to the committee of Chair Ways and Means, as Chair Ways and Means, and that is the budget. I am the first Black woman on that committee ever.
Ever?
In Boston. Ever. First Black woman to chair Ways and Means. Ever in Boston.
And you're also the first, is it Councilor, to be Muslim and Black immigrant?
Yes, I'm the first. Yes, I'm the first Muslim, and I'm the first African.
You pioneering.
Yeah,
that's deep.
Making
Like
strides,
that's like. I mean, it sounds light, but that's deep.
Yeah. No, that's God.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not. It's bigger than an accomplishment. It's like for little girls and little boys to know that, like, you could do whatever you want to do.
Yeah. I mean, it's personal, right? Like I'm a polyglot, right? So
What's that mean?
I speak more than 5 languages. Like, I speak
It's called a
languages.
polyglot?
Polyglot.
That is
Okay.
crazy.
And so, like, so when I think about language, when I think about communicating, connecting, and then, I think Congresswoman Presley talks a lot about this, the imposter syndrome especially with Black women, and in the way that society has suppressed us, and how we just, naturally we grow up in a society that's like structurally Anglo-Saxon. So we don't necessarily think it's for us.
Right,
we don't
right,
see
right.
ourselves as representatives, right? And when you get into these spaces and you start questioning yourself, or and so forth. And so I listened to her a lot speaking about this. For me, language is important. It's an art of connecting. Right, we're not separate. We're symbiotic,
Right.
but in for us to be able to be relatable, I have to reach you. I have to resonate with you, and so because I'm a language person, I think about how to be raw on purpose. So when I'm in the chamber, it's very personal for me. If I say to the council president. And then people might say like, "Oh, well, that's not, kosher. Like that's not kosher, or whatever."
Screaming.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
and it's and I will on purpose be like, "Yo, what up, Prez? You look dope." On purpose. And that's the language that he should allow. He should accept it, and he should make room, and we should dismantle the white backdrop. And we should restructure it so that it's welcoming to that Black little girl at home watching. It's for you. You belong here. You can do it, and you are everything.
Can I ask you, when we go back to imposter syndrome, can you, for people who don't know what that is, explain imposter syndrome and then how you experienced it and how you overcame it?
I don't know if
Or if you didn't experience it, how people generally experience it and overcome it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for. I was referencing Congresswoman Presley in talking about that, and in terms of how that exists, and that's very real for everyone, actually, white men too.
Interesting.
It exists for everyone.
It's a lot in the arts community too.
Well, because everyone is insecure. Everyone is trying to find their way.
Yeah.
Everyone is trying to feel adequate. And when they're less than effective, whether or not it's they're directly responsible, for not being effective, they feel like, was I impactful? Did I do something? Did I deliver for my district or for my people, for my constituents? And so people go through their insecurities. And I always believe, like, in this field, to run, to like actually survive it too,
Right.
there has to be like partially like insecurity, partially insanity, partially heart. Well, yeah, like not a little crazy, yeah. You gotta be like 25% crazy, 25% ego, so that's the insecurity. Maybe about 50% heart, something like that, with a little blend of something, sprinkle of creativity. But either way, you would have had to have this combination. And everyone has insecurities. We all do. And so when you see them come out, when a white man gets up and says, well, Councilor so-and-so did the best that they could. That's their compensating way of saying, I'm smarter than that person. Listen to me because I'm a white man and I know better. And then they appear to be leaders, and it's also like a sexist field. So when you see all of that, you're like, oh, okay, well, that's okay. He's being insecure. And so for me, because I see it and I understand it, I just go, that's okay. Well, everybody got their turn of being insecure. So I literally get up and I say, just so you know, Councilor so-and-so, all of my colleagues here, the white ones, the black ones, I've already forgiven you. I don't take it personal. And I sit back down. Because that's what's happening. You're literally trying to prove your effectiveness and how adequate you are. In that moment, you're desperate. In that moment, you feel less than. Yeah. And that deserves mercy.
Interesting. I'm almost imagining, not that I've ever been in a chamber, but almost imagining being there and what other people feel whenever you speak your piece, and how, because it's, again, you're a pioneer, and you're even pioneering the way that you're kind of asking people to take accountability for their feelings in a way, especially whenever they're not used to saying or hearing certain things in a certain manner, and they're used to a system of verbiage, a system of language, a system of behavior. I think that I think that really that's what the world is kind of running back to. I always talk about sustainability. I feel like the other way is not sustainable, but the way that you are pioneering your journey and being yourself kind of opens up way for other people to be themselves. And maybe it's not even big ways, maybe it's in little small ways, but I feel, because I'm an empath, I don't know everything, but I feel like that energy is shaking up the room in like the best way possible.
I hope so. Even when it doesn't, that's okay too.
Right. You did it. They've experienced it. The seed has been sown.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's like when you worry about not having enough money. It's contrary of attracting energy to get more money. So resistance attracts negativity. So why don't you just allow it, and hopefully you remember that next time when you're feeling insecure. And that's how, at least for me personally, that's how I deal with it. When I walk into the chamber, there's no pressure for me. There's no, I have to sound this way or I have to sound that way. And they know that. And I do hope that my constituents and the public, like Boston, feels and understands that I take it wholly seriously. It's not that I'm not taking them seriously. It's that I take it so seriously that I'm, again, disarming this body. It's okay. Be you. Be okay.
That's good. That's really good.
For those who may not know the role of a city councilor, could you explain what your day-to-day responsibilities are and what you exactly do?
Yeah, so the role essentially is we're legislators, so we are to file policy or to file hearing orders, what they call hearing orders or resolutions to an issue, right? And so sometimes it's not necessarily in policy. Sometimes it's not necessarily a law that you have to change. And in Boston, in city laws, we call them ordinances. And so to change the code, there's a book and there's actually codes, and to change codes or to amend a law, an ordinance, you have to file a thing. And so the document, it's a policy brief, and you file that, and then you say, okay, I'm filing an ordinance, which is a law, and then you still have to hold a hearing, which literally it is what it sounds like, a hearing, to hear each other, to discuss the topic, and then after the hearing, you could hold a working session, and then that's when you workshop. There's no testimony from the public. You're just workshopping, the resolution, the solution to the problem. And then you vote on it. in the council meeting. And so that's the policy side, right? That's the legislation side. And then we're also representatives of our districts or of all of Boston if you are at large. And so we are responsible for the accountability body for the mayor or the city departments, essentially the mayor, the administration. And so when you look at it like we are sort of the maintenance or the managers of the maintenance for your district. So anything, streets, sidewalks, your lights, traffic, construction, development, parks, schools, anything's broken or anything needs to be repaired. And then we have to do that, hopefully, transparently and inclusive, right? And then hopefully we're doing all of that to reach equity.
Yeah.
And that's where you hear all the soapboxes, like all the, transparency, inclusion, and equity, and people say all these catchphrases because that's the lingo. But it makes me think that there needs to be like civic classes in a real way.
Yeah,
where you just
I can
break
agree with
down
that.
these words and you're like, this is what it is.
I agree.
And it just means that I want to hear from you because the problem impacts you, and that's inclusive and community. Like, what does equity mean? It just means that, like, say that you're not making enough money so that by the time your friend is also at college and your parents are making enough money, but that there's another program to compensate or to supplement for the gap, right? And so, like, there's all of these different, like, creative ways, and I'm always thinking about that. But a day in my shoes it's a lot.
It's a lot.
But I love my job. I absolutely love my
stress.
job. It's, oh God, am I masochistic? No. Let's not go there. Let's not go there. I guess it's good stress. What is that?
Right, what is that?
You learn to manage it. You learn to be able to be good at it. Right. Hopefully I'm almost there. But you manage it. So your team is everything. My team is absolutely amazing. And we all had to learn together. When you're new, you're hiring new people.
Right.
And so, you are, for me at least, my day starts around 8 a.m, whether it's a meeting or whatever. I might be going to a hearing. I might be going to a working session. I might have a press conference to go to. I might have to go back to City Hall. I might have to do like about 5 virtual, like 20 minutes with constituents. I might have to go to a church visit. I might have to go to a mosque. I might have to go to a senior home and sit for about 2 hours and listen, right, to my senior constituents. I might have to go to a school tour and talk about how the budget works. I might do a podcast and I'm teaching people about budget.
Oh yeah.
So,
nice.
or it's a listening session, or 3, quarterly town halls. And then, there's the managerial part too. You're running essentially a mini organization. Our newsletters, things are going on time. How's our social media? How's our marketing? How's our scheduling? Like, how are our events? You have to do all of that. So it is 8 to 8 p.m., sometimes later, every single day.
Dang.
No day off.
Yeah.
You kind of like the Queen of England a little bit. Queen of Roxbury.
Without the oppression and the
Yeah,
diamonds
everything that
that
came
she
with
needs
that.
to give back,
Yeah.
or she should have given back.
Right. That's a lot of energy.
It's very true. And you guys, so your administration focuses on housing, education, youth, small businesses, violence, and trauma. Is there anything else? Transportation?
Transportation for sure. Did you say climate? Yes, definitely.
What about climate?
Well, I mean, Roxbury has like suffers from it's the second largest heat island. So
What does that mean?
meaning that like there's a lot of concrete, there's a lot of like cement, not enough trees.
Interesting.
And so we are, we suffer obviously from environmental injustice. Like we have the most asthma, right? Like the most related comorbidities and health issues, and also like environmental health issues. So in Roxbury, we need more trees, cleaner air, open space. And some of that is just sitting somewhere at a beautiful park to decompress or go for a nice walk.
That makes sense.
Right.
And so all we have is well, technically that's in Dorchester, Franklin Park, but it used to be Roxbury. Some will argue.
did?
Yeah.
What? I ain't from here, Miss.
Well, South
I
End
ain't
and
from here,
Chinatown used to
Councilwoman.
be Roxbury too.
Nuh-uh. When did it change?
It used to go all the way up. I don't know exact time, but pre-urban renewal. A lot happened.
Creepy.
A lot
Serious.
happened.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Since you've been in office, though, like, what have your administration been doing to, like, push on some of these issues, like housing and education and, like, violence in the community?
In housing, I created a rent-to-own project. There's an RFP out, and hopefully Mayor's Office of Housing is looking for the contractor or developer to assign it to. In education, I developed partnerships between city, and I moved $5 million from police funds to youth jobs.
Was that a process that took a long time?
It took a lot of fight, but not a long time. I'm the chair of budget, so at the time it was me and Councilor Lara, Councilor Eugene, Councilor Mejia, Councilor Rel. Who else fought for that? Councilor Ricardo Arroyo. We all the people of color, basically, or black folks, fought for that, and we moved the money, the $5 million. And then Rashad Cope, he's dope. Shout out to Rashad Cope in YEO, Office of Youth Employment Opportunity. And basically, you can contract with like after school programs to get to pay youth hiring through Boston, through SuccessLink. For whatever they're doing. And my doing was, we created like some sort of like collaboration where youth would be doing their homework.
And get paid for it?
Yeah.
That's a blessing.
Yeah, I think it's dope. And so also like I do like all these school tours where I'm either doing these like little mini workshops with schools.
Yeah.
But I would like to create that partnership between RCC and Madison. I think that'd be dope too. As well, in terms of environment, we did a anti-displacement project with Northeastern architect students. Professor Lily Song basically did surveying, community engagement, studying, and all of interviews with like constituents and Black artists, and surveyed like what do they want to see as like for placemaking. That's fighting climate justice or climate displacement because you create more open space, like, incubators, artist space, outdoor theater. Like a lot of beautiful ideas came out of that. We have like a whole like package, a book printed of this where it shows you designs of what Black artists want in Boston or what constituents wanted in Roxbury to be developed on these empty lots. There's more, but I want to stop till I...
No, most definitely.
I got a few questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
Screw me. How would somebody even find out about the what's happening?
Yeah, so like I think about access, right? Like one of the biggest issues with inequities or disenfranchised communities in terms of being integrated with municipal government is that one, you don't have money. We don't have, there's the majority of Roxbury, I should say, average income, $34,000 a year. In a climate, in a city that you need at least about $80,000 salary to survive. And that's with a roommate. But
the real numbers coming out, y'all.
Right. So, post-tax and you calculate it. It's a lot. But anyway, when you think about the lack of access, digital, you hear people saying like digital access or inequities of that. You wonder like, okay, but how could people reach you?
Right.
How could people know? And you think about how to digitize this information in a way. So like, we have the newsletters, the town halls, the listening sessions, the emailings, the mass emails, and all of that. But you get into politics and people, there's funny business.
Yeah.
And I was told that I couldn't have access to emails for my constituents from 311.
Really?
because it's confidential. Even when I said just the emails, because they're my constituents, not the issues. If they come in and they haven't divulged to me that they want me, their counselor, to know about the problem, may I just have their contact so that I can keep them up to date on information? And that was a no. And so
Oh, wow.
my email list is only 10,000, and that took a lot of work. I started from zero.
Oh, wow.
I did not get a transfer of information. So to start from scratch, to get people to sign up for email, to get to 10,000 is a lot of work.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And then, so there's that. And so if I could have all of my constituents sign up, like, where's the camera? Where's it at?
Right here.
Sign up. Please sign up to the email serve. Either visit TaniaForBoston.com or, TaniaForBoston.com is the best way. And so I also collaborated with BU, and I was like, yo, we need an app. We need a D7 app. The first district to ever have its own app. And then we also need like these influencers, young people, if you're interested.
That's right.
Like, come help me to get these videos out, to teach people about what civic engagement is, and do it your way, do it your flavor. Like, help me help you. No,
That part.
No,
She ain't playing.
heck yeah. Make those TikToks.
right?
That's
Make those
right.
TikToks.
That's
I
right.
need those. You know.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Kind of like you said earlier about communication, speaking their language.
Right. Speak their language, but nowadays kids are super smart. Like, they're educated, they're smart, they got
Yes.
information, they're faster than
Yep,
us, right?
yep.
All of that. And then we have something to offer, obviously, like, work ethics, for example, like in terms of like the old school, like we just work. And the new generation, I think, is more of entrepreneurship.
Yep.
How do I do it my own, right?
Yep.
And so I think the merge of that, the discipline and the creativity, and all this information access. But essentially, a community is not integrated unless you are voting. You're not voting because of your, of lower socioeconomic class, because you're worried about getting home, cooking dinner, and taking care of your kids. And so our social determinants of health are compromised when we are in disenfranchised communities or lifestyles. And so we are naturally not integrated. We are not and if you're not integrated, you're not a community. If you're not economically integrated, you're not a community.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't have information and there's no ecosystem. Right? And so our housing, they're just boxes. And, the CDCs get upset when I say this, but it's true. Like, you literally build boxes for us. And there are studies that show that this compromises your mental health. So it can lead to mental illness, even to be able to live in a place that is just a box where there's no amenities to decompress or to live or to take care of your health in many ways, physical, mental, education, whatever. And so that is what's missing, is that affordable housing was supposed to be affordable. First of all, it's not affordable. Second, when they built it, because, okay, I get it. You need to build 3,000 units, fine. But you can't just do that just to check off a list.
Yeah.
You have to actually be more intentional, and intentionality means that show me the money. And so Boston is super rich. We can actually borrow bonds, and we pay it back faster than anybody. We pay it back within like 10 years, and then we pay it back less than the interest rate that we was contracted for. And so if we're borrowing money, let's invest in what matters.
Right.
And then let's treat the very, and then I forget who said this, but our most vulnerable citizens, right, is a reflection of the city that we are, right? Like how we treat our most vulnerable citizens. And so if we focus on housing and we build housing that's truly affordable, and then we actually create housing ecosystems that offer a computer center, a gym, childcare, right? An outdoor green space, rooftop farm, a barbecue pit in the back. If you offer these types of amenities, it's more of an ecosystem. And if you could walk down the street and go to Nubian Square, and I can repair my shoe, get flowers and a sandwich all in one space, then a more, a fluid, right, dynamic economic district, then you're going to be living more of a holistic life. And I think that's what's missing. Here we are. If we don't vote, they don't pay attention to us. And when they don't pay attention, that means that the money doesn't follow.
Yeah. And I know we're going back to the youth, but you do a lot of work with the youth. I think someone was telling me that, was it one of the last campaigns, was it Tania for Artists?
Yeah, Artists for Tania.
Artists for Tania, yes.
No, it was a campaign kickoff.
Oh.
And so basically,
I heard there was a lot of kids just like rallying for you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's pretty cool. Actually, yeah. So I did it the first time, and again, like, so I'm an artist by hobby. I'd like
Fashion,
to say.
Right?
No, theater.
Theater. You were a theater kid?
Yeah, like, so I took it in, college and in high school. I went to Snowden, so that's where I sparked. And then I would start sewing for costumes for my plays.
Okay.
And then all people saw was beautiful, I think they're beautiful, big gowns, right? And they said, oh, fashion designer. And I'm like, I don't know how to draw.
I know how to make these clothes, though.
I'm not a fashion designer, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's more than a hobby. I mean, I know you got an 8 to 8, but putting energy towards that is sustaining your 8 to 8, your 9 to 5, doing that sewing and actively being creative. It's making you more, well, I can't speak for you, but whenever I create, it makes me more whole.
What did you create?
I'm a makeup artist.
Nice.
I paint faces.
That's art.
Yeah.
That's
but I always
beautiful.
try to bring it back to sustainability because I'm all about the ecosystem as a whole.
Yeah.
Toxic health and beauty, because I feel like health and beauty go hand in hand. There is no, like, they're a duo. One really cannot coexist sustainably. That's my favorite word. Without the other. Like, you cannot dare to be beautiful if you've not yet eaten or washed yourself, or or even said a beautiful word to somebody. I feel like beauty is not even physical sometimes. It's sometimes stimulating your 5 senses in that way.
Yeah.
So
It's like putting a blanket on a bed, but you didn't make up your sheets.
come on. Like taking a shower and putting back on dirty drawers.
Or maybe sweeping like garbage under the rug. I don't know. Like, it's pretty on the outside.
It is.
But you're not taking pride of the inside, the vessel.
Right. And that compromises your confidence. It compromises your spirit, because you know what you didn't do for yourself.
Sure. Absolutely. I mean, yes, I agree. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I didn't mean to not finish answering your question.
Sorry.
Oh, no.
But absolutely. So sometimes people say, like, don't body shame, and we're not body shaming.
Right.
People literally, like, it's not an indicator. If I talk about health, I'm not saying you're not attractive.
Yeah.
Right. And you can be attractive on the outside and not be healthy.
Right.
Like, it has nothing to do with the other. People have taste, right? Like, I like bigger men, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's my taste.
Yeah.
Are you healthy though? Are you
Right.
taking care of yourself?
Right.
So it's a hard conversation because it's a very delicate one and people are sensitive, but I get it.
Right.
I get it.
Public health is what it reminded me of. All right, sorry for
Oh, but the youth, yes, like, so they came and they performed and they were in their space. They were like rapping, and it was just like, be free, be you. It was beautiful. But it's also like a space where kids could have been comfortable and then say, okay, but let me talk to you now that we've like enjoyed ourselves and eaten a little food, and I've heard your rap and you talking about vote for Councilor Anderson, and it was dope. It was dope. I'm here for it. But now let's talk about why.
That's right.
Let's talk about why. And then I got their buy-in, right? Like, so, we did a whole program with my campaign of paying youth canvassers. So it wasn't like, please respect our youth. Like, you invite them to do something, and if you fundraise, pay them,
Yeah.
Anyway, so we had a whole like paid youth canvassing project. And so after that, they went canvassing for me. And even like, even like kids that had no experience, to see them say like, and then we did some role playing to see them saying like, okay, so I'm the constituent. What are you gonna say to me? Tell me. Knock, knock. I open the door. What's up, young man? How can I help you? And then they would be like, and then they're like, yeah, so I'm here. My name is so and so, and I think you should vote for Tania. And I'm like, yes. What else? What about Tania?
Right.
Why? Why would you vote for me?
Right.
Oh, I vote for you because you dope, because you put money in this and this and that.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome, fantastic. But what is it that I do? And that experience in itself, obviously, is like firsthand experience, like learning, right? Now you have kids that would have never been interested in civics getting into it.
Yeah, now they have a better understanding.
Yeah, it's exciting.
How did you get them to come out in the first place?
The money.
Very good question. The money.
I mean, it's true. But who cares? After that, they saw the value behind it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, do you want to work $20 an hour for 3 hours?
Right. To a high schooler, that's like $1 million.
Yeah. Like, do you want to make $60?
Yeah. That's what's up.
But you have to be intentional. It's not like, here's a turf list, here's this, and this is what you say, and then you read this thing on the phone. It's not like that at all. It's block out 5 hours so that I can, we can eat together. There's entertainment, expression, and then get to know me. And now let's talk about, why you're doing this. And forget the script.
Yeah.
Now that you know me, why would you vote for me? That's what's important. That's what the voter wants to hear.
I like that.
Yeah.
Right after them bellies full.
Right.
You done disarmed them.
Them belly full, but they hungry. No, I'm kidding. That's another context. Sorry. This one, I think it's your energy. Bringing out all the Bob Marley and the parody. Never mind. Go ahead.
We gonna talk.
Don't you also work with a few nonprofits?
I used to work with, you mean my background? Yeah. So I did. I worked, my first job was with Roxbury Multi-Service Center. And we used to be like teens, educating teens on sexual assault.
Oh, okay.
And I was 13, so it was like heavy language. But this woman, my first mentor, Barbara Boulette, peace be upon her now, she's passed on. She actually like taught me like everything, discernment, like one-on-one. And then when I talk about like Black women saving my life, right? African-American Black women saving my life. I think it all started with Barbara Boulette, but we would go to like schools and we would teach kids about sexual assault and stuff like that. That really taught me about public speaking and, getting in more self-awareness and self-care and stuff like that. I went on to working for MAPS, Massachusetts Alliance Portuguese Speakers, where I worked with the Cape Verdean community on mostly like DV, HIV, stuff like that. I went on to working with DIMIC, where I did infectious diseases. Oh yeah, I did HIV counseling there. What did you do?
I was just working the eye care unit.
Oh, yep. Okay, so you know Dr. Mohammed. Okay, cool. That's where she started. Now she has her own clinic.
Oh wow.
Okay, Dr. Mohammed.
Yeah.
I didn't know,
In Nubian Square.
Oh, nice.
That eye place. Remember that tall Muslim lady? That very tall. She's wear her like turban this way. Yeah, she's a whole doctor now, ophthalmologist, and she got her own clinic.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry. And then I worked at on Blue Hill Avenue with sex industry workers. And that's like back then when they send you to like the combat zone and did all this outreach. Needle, they used to call it like needle exchange program and stuff like that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And then I went into mental health. I became like, they call it CAN certified when you assess people to diagnose. And I would do intensive care coordination. Just basically like you would first assess like, kids. And I would be like the umbrella of services to like the mental health, the stuff that they call wraparound.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an intensive training. It's like a thing that where like you are really connecting to like different mental health providers or outpatient or services. And so I have like that mind of understanding like holistically what people need or community needs, and that's where I come from, like with that social work background.
How would you say public health relates to your role as councilwoman? Because you kind of like Lorenz take it on power without the corruption.
I haven't watched.
I haven't watched Power
I didn't watch
either.
Power until the pandemic,
I didn't.
and I understood it.
I'm one of those people that catch like 2 episodes, and I'm
Yeah.
asking my kids like, "And who's she?"
Yeah,
And they hate it.
that's my sister.
And they're like, "Oh my God, just don't watch it. You're only gonna
Yeah.
be here for like 30 minutes."
Yeah.
But I watched when the mom and the son, and she had to save her son. I watched those episodes. That's
was
it. I
good.
don't know
You gotta
anything
watch
about
it.
it. It was, you gotta watch it. Okay.
Because you kind of remind me of Councilman Tate, but
There's
because
no
I'm not
time.
in that. I'm not in that.
How is Councilwoman Tate?
Councilman Tate is corrupt.
Oh,
But you're
yeah.
not like him in that way. You're like him in the way, because I don't know
Wait, what?
anything about politics, so I'm trying to make it make sense.
Okay, so the one politician you know of, I guess. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
From TV.
That's a start.
Yeah.
Start.
So how does the background in public health relate to your role that you've been in for the past 4 years?
Because it's everything. It's
Yeah.
about people care. It's
Yeah.
about quality of life.
I never heard of the word public health until I moved here.
Okay, so public health is everything: mental health, drug addiction, homelessness, domestic violence, HIV, like infectious disease, like all of that.
Okay.
Like asthma, like health, everything health. And then there are public health issues that go into public health because they're deemed like public health. It becomes a crisis, so it goes under public health realm to deal with like racism. And so because people die from it, so it becomes a public health issue. Mass incasts, all of that is public health. And so it's everything. It's housing. In order for you to fight, gun, like people talk about safety and public safety or gun violence in our streets. We have to address the root causes.
Yes.
The root causes may be either mental health instability,
Yes.
right? It may be that you're like lower socioeconomic, like money, right?
Yeah.
You're not, lack of job, lack of housing stability. These are your social determinants of health. And so,
Okay, that made it make sense for me.
Right?
Okay.
right? And so these determinants, they are really
Social determinants.
right.
Okay.
These determinants are really not indicating, but are what is the result or leads to how you live, right? How you're stable or not stable. And so, but all of these social determinants of health, housing, education, jobs, like environment and justice, right? All of these determinants of health, like all of these environments, they are put together or not put together by the government, right? The government impacts it, right? Or can help it. And so if the government doesn't invest enough money to support social determinants of health for the people, the mayor's job literally is to secure the well-being of its citizens, of a city. The city council is the body, the legislative body, the body that deals with the laws. But we are also representatives of the people in our districts or at large. And so we deal with law. Like there's 3 branches, the legislative, the executive being the boss, right? The mayor is the boss of the city, not the council.
Okay.
Separate branches.
Okay.
And then there's the school committee. And so 3 branches. And essentially one is supposed to be the accountability because we're supposed to come up with policies to resolve issues.
Okay.
But because we're representatives, we also deal with constituent services, which is the maintenance that I talked about.
Okay.
And advocacy in the budget because we also oversee the budget process. And then we vote on the budget. Okay? So the mayor is the one with her cabinet, with her people.
Okay.
Who puts together the budget and says this money to this money to this. Only not in the capital budget.
Okay.
Operations. So the money that pays for people to work, the money like that's operation. But capital is the money that builds buildings and fixes parks and streets.
Yeah.
And so the mayor is the only one who has a say in the capital. So there's been a new amendment to the law. Remember how people can amend laws? And there's been a new amendment that actually gives us the power, the council, supposedly, to have a say with the mayor on the budget. We're supposed to have equal responsibility in the budget now. However, the mayor still holds the capital. If the mayor, for example, if 7 people, because the majority have to vote on the budget,
Okay.
if 7 people, or in this case 9, because I'll slow it down.
Okay.
If 7 people vote on the budget, that's how the budget passes. But say it goes back to the mayor, and then the mayor has to approve or not approve. Because of this new amendment, say that the mayor said only $5 million for this building. For this department. And say that the council said, well, since it's half and half, we think it should only be $3 million. We think that $2 million should go to youth jobs. The mayor can veto, can reject what we're recommending, even though we have this new power. If the mayor rejects it, we then need 9 votes to override her veto.
9 new votes.
9 new votes, because we have to vote again. That's 7 plus 2 more.
Yeah.
Now we have to go and be like, we have to put it on the floor and say to the council members, hey, can you vote on this because that's why you see us talking all the time.
Is that happening often?
Yeah, well, it happened this time where the mayor didn't agree with pretty much almost everything.
What were you guys pushing for?
We were pushing for, for example, for the police budget, people didn't understand it. And I think it's not the people's fault. It's because, again, the process is fast. Within 2-3 months, you're doing all these hearings. And again, people are busy. And if they're not keeping up, if the city is not teaching people how the budget, $8 billion budget works.
$8 billion. Okay.
So
And can you explain the reallocation of funds?
the breakdown is about 3.5. I think, wait a second. 3.5 or 4.5 in the other direction. So I think operating was like 3.5 or the other way around. I don't remember. Or 3.5 in capital and 4.5 in operating. But it was about $8 billion.
Yeah.
And the breakdown is that in the operating budget, again, the city has different departments. Public facilities, parks, and Office of Economic Development, the mayor's cabinet, the mayor's office herself.
They're 2 separate?
Well, the mayor's cabinet is all of these departments that are directly serving the mayor's team.
Okay.
And so you have like all of these other departments, right? That have to be paid. Municipal officers. I don't know. Anyway, you get it. Treasurer department, licensing department. All of that is paid by your tax dollars.
Okay.
And so what happens is there's revenue, right? The city has revenue. The city can either get money from city tax, real estate tax or other taxes, but mostly real estate tax. And that money is used to use for operating. In the capital, essentially, the mayor has full power on that because technically it's not money that we have now. It's a decision that the mayor has to make to borrow money to use for capital. So the law says that we don't have a say, the council, because technically, the legislative body, because technically that money is not real. It's not here yet.
Oh, okay.
So because it's her decision to borrow and how much she borrows, that is on her. And so she gets to allocate and decide where it goes. The council has nothing to do with that. And so it hurts because then as a district councilor, we're the closest to the issue. We've listened to our constituents. The constituents said, hey, that space or that street or that sidewalk, and we can't deliver if the mayor says no. And so what happens in politics is that the mayor then has to figure out who aligns with her agenda. And if you don't align, right? It's not personal. It's politics. Politics is like war. It's about winning. And so if you don't align, if you're not with me,
you're against me.
You're against me. And so that kind of rule, that kind of dynamic, you see it in politics. You see it now. And so if you don't align, then you're against me, then I got to go this way because I got things to do and I got to focus on it. It's really not personal. It's like I got to focus on that and I got to do what I got to do. But what happens in the process? For example, we had the largest body of people of color for the first time in Boston, historic, 6 electors of color, and now we've lost a couple in the preliminary election. Councilor for D5 and Council for D6 lost their elections. Now we risk having the largest body of electors of color because the person that's running in D6 might be either a black man, which is William King, or it might be a white man who is running against William King. So now it's not guaranteed that we're going to have that 6 again, that number again. So the solid 4 that's left that's still running for November 7th is the day to vote for the generals. And I made it through the general, me and my opponent. I will not say her name. I can say her name. It's okay. I can say her name.
No problem.
Yeah, my opponent. Nothing personal, and we could talk about that if you want. But the point is that we may not have 6 electors of color again. And so most of electors of color are progressive, like truly progressive, not like liberal, white savior, complex progressive. And so now we face this like risk of our policies not being passed. The thing is that a lot of the things are coming our way again. The mayor has to do what is on her agenda. And if half of the body is the mayor's friend or used to be the mayor's staff or is endorsed by the mayor's doing a fundraiser for that elected, that councilor, then if you do a fundraiser for me, I'm going to be saying no to you. I'm going to be voting against what you want me to vote against. And that's what is happening, or that's the concern of the public right now. Will the electeds that are coming in, endorsed by the mayor, and those who are endorsed by the mayor, will they only do as the mayor say? Do we actually have a chance for Boston to be truly progressive and pass policies that actually are in the best interest of people of color? And I think that's kind of like the issue. And then people would say, well, Mayor Wu's like really progressive, but a lot of the things that has been it's been kind of diluted. A lot of the things that the community has asked, Mayor Wu has had to make like a lot of hard decisions on how to pass it in a way, not exactly how the community wants it. And sometimes it's because she knows best, right? Mama knows best kind of thing, because she has more information, more about the budget. But sometimes it's like, no, there are statistics that show, for example, BRIC, that, this system is criminalizing for black men, especially black men. Yeah. But she was supporting it, and she had said that she was going to dismantle it, and then actually support it to give it more money.
Oh yeah. That is
so there, so you see that, and again, it's like I personally. I will do my job, and you don't want to you want to treat people with integrity, right? So I respect her. and I may not agree with her decisions, but I'm not about publicly shaming anybody or privately shaming anybody.
Yeah.
I'm about like, look, everyone is redeemable, and if today you don't know any better, God willing, you'll get there. But
Yeah.
that's kind of like, but how can I do this job and with integrity so that I can always make the decision that I know it's in the best interest of my people?
So we recently did an episode about addiction, and honestly, it was my favorite episode. And not being from here and seeing the whole mile of Methadone Mile, it was literally, when I left Georgia, I was watching The Walking Dead. And to come here and to see that whole mile is like, wow, it's like it's real and it's in person. So how do you feel about...
So they look like zombies.
It's scary, but it's scary. How do you feel about, or what's your experience with homelessness and addiction in Boston?
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
People that, imagine in your most desperate moment, in your most desperate time, and imagine not, no divine intervention or the universe, whatever, not saving you. Imagine falling, and imagine the fall was drugs. And then imagine that the drugs taking over your body and where you have no autonomy. And I think in every way, if anything, it's a way for us to really truly look within ourselves as a society, but as individuals too. Like, we are all connected, all interconnected, and we should look at this as our problem.
Yes.
And I think that a lot of the times, people just don't want to see it, right? And so, but also when you do see it, say someone got shot and they were bleeding, and you would say, oh, they have an injury.
Yeah.
Immediately, your reaction is to put them in a hospital bed. And so we're not treating it like that.
Right.
Because there are either not enough hospital beds or not enough, or people don't want it in their neighborhood. And then all of this politics about where to go. The problem is that they've put it all in Roxbury.
So it was intentionally placed there.
Well, I mean, it's always placed in places where they think that they can get away with or less noise. So BMC is right there.
Yeah.
And, the clinics and the treatments are right there. But then, it starts like in a condensed area, and you condense that population in one area. And then it's not decentralized, like the services are not decentralized. So then it grows and it grows. And then people are coming for, then the message travels where you can get your treatment, where you can get what you can get. And then eventually it becomes a place where predators, and by predators I mean drug dealers and pimps, can exploit and prey on the weak.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? So people are sick and they have no bodily autonomy. Like literally they can't, it's physically addictive, it's mentally addictive. Like you're in it, right? And you're at your lowest. And so like, for anyone, I think, that looks at it like, oh my God, those people, like, obviously, like what kind of person would kick somebody at their lowest, Right. And then that's one. And two, I think, it's decentralizing the services so that we're not focusing and like having one area where drug dealers know to go, and they probably dress like them, and I don't know, camouflage themselves,
infiltrating sheep clothing.
Oh yeah, they're there, and you'll know if you're from the hood, like if you grew up in the hood, or officers, they all know who the drug dealers are. They all know, and when you go to Atkinson Street and you see these tents like side by side, you can't see through it because these tents are like next to each other, literally. And so you don't know what's going on inside the tents. You don't know what's going on behind the tents. Yeah. They got the zippers, so it's completely sealed. Technically, now the encampment becomes their home. So there's all of these like, rights, civil rights about like, not not encroaching or not violating their rights.
Wow.
And so the police officers, there's a medium here that I think we should reach. The officers are saying that they can't go into tents because they don't want to violate.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are situations that are not inside tents, and officers are still like doing the detail. And I'm not sure, it goes back and forth. You go to Boston Public Health Commission says, the officers need to be more active, doing more walking beats, supporting the workers to implement safety so that they can actually execute their work services. And then the police officer says, BPHC is just not doing enough. And then you hear both sides saying the same thing, and you're like, wait a minute. Well, so who's not doing their job? But coming from a public health perspective, like an experience, I know that situation is not safe. There is no way that I would tell, if I was a manager, I would tell a social worker, go in that tent or go knock on that tent, you and maybe an outreach worker, and then the officer that's sitting in his car. Right. And full transparency, I got my phone back. So I was in that area and my phone got taken.
Yeah.
And it's
got taken?
There's a news article about that, right?
I thought you knew what I was talking about.
What you mean? Somebody took it?
Yeah.
There's a news article about that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
But you got it back.
Yeah, he started getting a little aggressive. This person, I know him. I've gone there a lot. Like me and either different people. I don't want to say, but you're there to give out stuff. You're there to do work. You're there to do service, and so I know him to be hyper, but I don't know him to be aggressive. And this day, typically when he comes, he's pushing somebody in a wheelchair. He's helping someone. Yeah. He's always nice. He's always looking out for the ladies too.
Okay.
And not in the other way, not the pimp way, but this on this day, I think. He said he forgot who I am because the very next day I knew where to find him. So the next day, I drove by and I was like, "Hey, why did you do that?" And he, because the police is like, "Oh, so do you know who he is?" No. Yeah. No, you don't need that. Yeah, but I was like, "Hey, why did you do that?" And he's like, "I'm sorry. I know you're the lady with the, with the red pickup truck. Everybody knows me for the red pickup truck." And I was like, "Yeah, well, why? You know me. Come on, man. Me and you. Come on." And he's like, "I'm sorry. But this is while he's about to inject and everything. And it is what it is. Obviously it's a disease. Do you think that's what people want to do in front of you?
That part.
People are desperate.
Right.
People are hurting.
That's right.
But I think, okay, let's remove the tents. Yeah. But what is the comprehensive plan that we're going to guarantee or ensure the community, community safety, but also how are we going to contain this thing? Right. How will we follow up with them when they disperse? So
that part. The
questions to, Mayor Wu and the administration is, what is the investment for that plan? Because although as a mayor, I agree with Mayor Wu. She has to focus on Long Island Bridge. She has to focus on that. That's the long-term plan. But the interim plan then has to include some level of investment to contain this thing, to manage this thing. And I think that I'm not convinced that, or at least the process is not over. We've gone to a hearing. We're going into a working session on the 16th. And so we're going to talk about what does the plan look like? I've asked Boston Public Health Commission to bring it in writing. Yeah. And so that plan is where we go, okay, these are the metrics that we want you to implement. These are ideas that we think you can follow up with them and find them, but that requires a certain level of financial, fiscal investment, right? So what's the budget for it's not just the shelters. I think that they should do methadone 24/7 vans. I think that they should also bring the court system in a van, a mobile court team. I think that they should also be able to bring, they should also have long-term treatment. So it's not just, 30-day bed, 90-day beds, but it's, creating I don't know, maybe it's an urban farm where people live and work. That's good. And heal.
That's sustainable.
And heal. Yes. So there are a lot of ideas, and I think that can be done in Long Island too, right? But that's the long term. So what is the investment for now? And that question is not answered yet. Not that it hasn't been answered. I mean, not that it hasn't been asked, but what is the sustainable short-term plan in the interim while we know they're going to disperse and go into our backyards and our doorsteps? How are we going to contain that? Like, how are we going to manage and help people get to treatment? I used to work for the Department of Mental Health. And I'm telling you that all of my clients there would actually go to Mass Ave. At 8 a.m, you wouldn't even see them. Where's so-and-so? Oh, and then I would drive home around, like, my shift is off, and then I would go home and I would see them there. So I agree with Boston Public Health Commission. I think that they're accurate in saying that, half of the people there are not homeless.
Oh, wow.
Wait, that's what they said?
They're not homeless.
What you mean?
They're just chilling there. Oh, man. Like, that's opportunity.
What you laughing at? They ain't like, what?
Yeah.
So they actually got homes to go to, and they just there so that they could get what they got to get?
Does it sound like something typically like you wouldn't do? Like, if you have a home, you go home, right?
Right.
Yeah. So people.
That's crazy.
They're to take advantage of the system, or
people are just not. They don't have like one diagnosis. They're not just suffering from addiction.
Oh, okay.
A lot of them suffer from mental illness.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And sometimes it's not like like a hardcore disorder. It could be like just severe, like just depression, and it's easier to be in that environment and be accepted. There's a lot of...
That's deep.
That actually makes sense.
Yeah, so the reason why I used to go to Mass and Cat, I never told people this, but I went with my transgender friends to work with the transgender population there. And so...
That's good.
Yeah. And so there's that population too that prefers being there. Than in areas where they're not accepted. So it's multifaceted, and there's so many complexities to this.
It's a whole other world. It's like a world within a world.
Yeah, yeah. The what hurts is like a lot of people are like, we're treating this with little gloves, like velvet gloves, and we're like, oh, poor, because they're white. Like that's what people say, because they're white. You're treating this opioid epidemic like it's like they're babies. But when it was crack and it was black people doing it or suffering or preyed upon or exploited, right? When it was black people that we criminalized them and we sent them to prison. Yes, and we didn't treat it like this. Yeah. And we didn't invest in it. And we didn't say, oh, it's a disease. We didn't do that.
Yeah.
And that we dehumanized black people, right? And it's true. But the difference is, like, maybe we're evolving. Maybe it's not that we are seeing that today they're white and that's what we're doing. Maybe we're evolving in our thinking. And I'm hoping that that's what it is. That now we're like, wait a minute, this is a disease. Because the mass and caste is becoming slowly more and more black and brown. Right? So, like, as you remove the tents, like more as of late, it's becoming more black and brown.
That's deep.
On that note, we're going to take a small break and we'll be right back.
All right.